Hello everyone, we'll give a couple of minutes for other attendees to join and then we'll get started. Welcome to the Vembu BDRSuite webinar on best practices and considerations for Microsoft Hyper-V Backup and Recovery. I thank you all for joining us today. I'm Bhavani from the product management team of Vembu. I'll be the host for this webinar. Before I begin this webinar, I'll share how you can interact during the session. As an attendee of the webinar, you will be in the listen and view only mode. If you have any queries during the webinar, feel free to post your questions in the QA box, and our experts will respond to your questions throughout the session. And of course, we will save time in the end for a dedicated Q&A session as well. I'm recording this session and the recorded copy will be sent to your registered email address for your future references. Okay, let's start with an introduction about Vembu technologies and our flagship product, Vembu BDRSuite. Vembu has ventured into the backup and disaster recovery market in 2002. Over the last 15 years, Vembu has set footprints around the globe and is trusted by more than 60,000 plus businesses to protect their business critical data. Vembu has created strong partnerships with industry-leading technology vendors like data center players, VMware, NetApp, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Red Hat, and also some public cloud providers, Amazon Web Services, and Microsoft. So our flagship product is Vembu BDRSuite. It's a comprehensive backup and disaster recovery solution to back up your and to protect your diverse IT environments. So which means from virtual to physical to cloud or even SaaS applications, whatever your whatever your workload may be, you can protect them with Vembu BDRSuite. So as you see in the screen, we offer agentless backup and replication for VMware, agentless backup for Hyper-V, and for the physical environment, we support Windows, Linux, and Mac operating systems. And for the cloud workloads, we offer backup for EC2 instances, Azure virtual machines, and Google virtual machines also. And when it comes to SaaS applications, we support Office 365 and G Suite. So these are our customer base. Among our customer base, you will find recognizable worldwide firms like NASA, Fujitsu, and all, and also some reputable local companies. Yeah, so with that, the introduction is done. Without any further delay, we'll get into the webinar topic. Here's what I'll cover in this webinar. I'll walk you through some of the considerations that you need to know for capturing effective Hyper-V virtual machine backups. Then we will look at the questions you should ask or kind of a checklist you need to have when choosing or evaluating backup solutions, which also covers some of the best practices into it. Then I'll show a live demo of how you can set up Hyper-V best practices with Vembu BDR so that you can be rest assured your data is safe and recoverable at all times. Okay. So, and then we'll also have the Q&A at the end of the session, as I mentioned before. Now we'll look into the next topic. Okay. The first thing is backing up virtual machines on Hyper-V. Okay, so it requires some special considerations. We will first discuss what needs to be considered to properly back up a virtual machine on Hyper-V. So here is that. When you plan your backup strategy, okay, so these are the key areas you need to look in your Hyper-V environment. Make sure your backup solution that you're going to choose or evaluate just compatible with all the list that is on the screen right now. Okay, the first thing is like the hypervisor platform. You might have enabled the Hyper-V role on a Windows server and you might run virtual machines on that, or you might have an Microsoft Hyper-V server, which is a standalone, and you can run virtual machines onto that. So make sure your backup solution supports these two or either one that you use in your environment. And then look at how you have how you're hosting your virtual machines, either in a standalone host or you have a cluster, because cluster needs some type of awareness. So which we will discuss in the further slides. And then just make a list of the applications and databases available in your environment, so that make sure that your applications and databases are supported by your backup solution. And the most important thing above all is the compatibility between your storage and your backup solution. Okay, so this we will discuss in brief in the upcoming slides. First, make a list, like what kind of storage are you using for your virtual machines. You're using a local storage, or you have deployed a failover cluster and you're using a cluster share volumes, or maybe you can use an SMB share, or some may be using the pass-through disks or a iSCSI LUNs. So make sure your backup solution is compatible with these type of storages, that is the storage that you use in your environment. These are not something that basic, but every backup solution must support these things. These are very critical point, and then only you can proceed to evaluate the solution when these are checked in your list. Okay, and the most important thing, which is in your hands, which is install the latest update of Hyper-V integration services, because a proper communication between your Hyper-V host and the virtual machines on it requires a stable and updated integration services components. Okay, so this is also useful at the time of backup. So make sure you always have the updated Hyper-V integration services in your environment. Okay, so the next thing is 5 questions to ask when you choose your backup solution. Okay, so I have just narrowed down the process of choosing and evaluating your backup solution into these 5 questions. Okay, you're not only just going to look at the questions, but also the solutions, that is the key points in each question that you need to note, which is kind of like also includes the best practice when choosing the when implementing the backup solution. Okay, so asking questions before committing to a backup and recovery solution ensures that you will have a peace of mind that comes with making the right choice for your business or your organization. Okay, the first question is, does your backup solution allow you to select the best backup method? So the most important thing is be aware of the different backup methods for your Hyper-V virtual machine. Okay, see, I have listed it down here. The first and the most important thing is host level backup, which is the current backup strategy. Like you need to access and backup all your virtual machines directly from the host. So this has an added advantage, like you can back up all the virtual machines at the image level, which means the VMs, operating system, configurations, applications, and data, that is everything inside your virtual machine, you will be able to back up without installing any agents inside each of them. Okay, and the second thing is guest VM backup. Previously I have mentioned that host level is the best thing, but you also require guest VM backup when it's the case if your virtual machine is using pass-through disk or iSCSI LUNs. So this is what in the previous slide I have mentioned, that you need to check the storage that you are using. Okay, so pass-through disk and the iSCSI LUNs virtual machines, you cannot use the Hyper-V VSS writer onto them. Okay, so obviously a host level backup solution uses Microsoft VSS writer to perform the backup. So in this case, you need to make sure the solution also supports guest level backup, which means you will be installing an agent inside your virtual machine, which is having the pass-through disk or the iSCSI LUN, and you will be able to perform the backup. And the next thing is, make sure your solution is cluster friendly. Okay, so this is because you might have a cluster in your environment, Hyper-V failover cluster, and your virtual machine might move from one node to another, from one host to another. So at that time, even if it moves from one host to another, your backup solution need to be aware, and it should allow you to perform seamless backup. So a cluster level backup support is most important if you are having a cluster environment. And the last is consistent backup for your applications and databases. So this is one important backup method for your critical business applications. Okay, so make sure your backup solution allows you to enter into application aware mode, which means your applications and databases are backed up only when they are consistent. Okay, so your Backup solution will leverage the volume share copy service of Microsoft and then will help you to capture and consistent backup of your applications. So we will move on to the second question. Does your backup solution allow you to create automated backups and offer flexibility in setting the RPO? So what is RPO? RPO is the recovery point objective, which means how much data you're willing to lose after you have recovered from a data loss event. Okay, so this means the lesser your RPO, the less amount of data you're affording to lose. Okay, so which means a backup schedule is actually an important component in your in reducing the RPO. So more frequently you backup, so the lesser the RPO. Okay, so make sure your solution offers flexible scheduling policies, like a virtual machine is critical and you would like to backup every few minutes, or that virtual machine might need only a backup once in a day or weekly twice. So there might be the flexible scheduling policies with your backup solution. And make sure and never forget to ask what is the lowest recovery point objective that your solution gives. Okay? And the most efficient method of backup is incremental backups. Okay, so every time the backup runs, and let's assume it's a full backup, consider you have a large amount of data and it consumes a lot of storage space in your environment, and also the backup takes more amount of time to complete the backup. So in this case, incremental backups are one important approach for your solution. Okay, so incremental backups offer a much leaner approach. Every time when the backup runs, only the changed data between the previous schedule will be backed up. Okay, so this allows you to use your storage space efficiently, and also the backup runs very quickly, so the time also gets saved. So all you have to look is a product which offers a flexible scheduling policies and also the incremental backup option. So many product right now use their own change block tracking mechanism, or they are also leveraging the Microsoft's resilient change tracking technology. So look for it. The third question is, does your backup solution allow you to perform instant and flexible restore to meet your business SLAs? Okay, so when evaluating a backup solution, it's crucial to ask as many questions about the recovery side. Okay, so the basic question is like, how long will it take your organization to recover and to be fully up and running after a ransomware attack or a site disaster or a system failure? Okay, so all these might happen at one or might be rare, but we cannot be just living like that. It is wise to ensure that you can bring your workloads quickly. So make sure to ask, what is the minimum recovery time objective? That is the time taken to restore your virtual machine. What is that your backup solution is offering? And also make sure they give you instant recovery options with which you can achieve the minimum recovery time objective. Okay, and there is also the other options, like every time you may not be in a case like restoring an entire virtual machine. Sometimes you might be need to restore a specific file or an application item. So look for the granular level recovery options. And to restore your entire environment back, look for a solution which can allow you to recover multiple virtual machines simultaneously. So you need not every time restore a single virtual machine and then proceed one by one. Okay, make sure you will be parallelly able to restore your entire environment. And the other thing is like, not a must thing, but make sure you have this. Might be your environment is mixed of multiple hypervisors, VMware, Hyper-V, or any other. So in case your Hyper-V is down, you might have an option like you can restore your Hyper-V virtual machines onto another hypervisor that is currently you are having in your environment. So look for a cross hypervisor migration facility also. It might help in the future scenarios where you are planning for a migration. So those things. The fourth question: does your backup solution allow you to efficiently manage the backup data? So this is actually the most critical part. So managing the backup data is not that so easy. So you have lots to consider in this. First is, does your solution allow you to meet your retention requirements? Okay, so there are like a number of compliance policies that are now very stringent in um, across the world and specific areas. Okay, so this is like your solution must allow you to define the retention. Might be you might require like keep the data for several years or few months or just for few weeks or few days. So you need to have the flexibility in defining your retention. Okay, and the next is the most important part is security. So how secure is your data with your backup solution? Your data gets transferred from one place to another and it gets stored in a storage level. So how much security does your backup solution offer? So look for some inbuilt and advanced encryption with your backup solution. The next thing is how efficiently your backup solution is handling your storage requirements. So you might need compression and deduplication for that. That is the efficient storage utilization. The third is the storage part. Yes, the important part. Like you might have any type of storage. Like you can have a local drive or a network drive or even a cloud storage or network NAS or SUN, anything. But your at that time your solution must provide the ability to support different storage mediums, as well as it should provide the flexibility to scale out your storage as and when required. Okay, you cannot just invest a lot amount of storage boxes at once. It must allow you to scale storage whenever required. And the most important part of a backup solution is automatic backup verification. So why it is needed? Backing up the data is actually not your end goal. You should be able to recover your data whenever you require. Okay, so like you have backed up and stored your data, and you're trying to recover your data in any situation, and it shows kind of error. Let's assume you cannot restore your data. You cannot panic at that time. Okay, so you need your data to keep your business up and running. So make sure it allows you to verify the recoverability of your data. Okay, so doing this manually can be tedious. Okay, so make sure it provides you the automatic backup verification after every backup completes. It makes sure that your data is recoverable. So these are very must in a backup solution. And the last and the important thing is monitoring and reporting. Okay, so a full visibility on your backup infrastructure is a mandatory thing, and you can just monitor your environment backup infrastructure in real time. So make sure your solution has an interface designed to provide a comprehensive reports, or also the alerts or notifications, dashboards and daily summaries in some way which can help you easily monitor your backup infrastructure, as well as manage your backup data. And the last thing is the most important best practice that is carried out in the industry. Does your backup solution allow you to implement the industry best 3-to-1 backup rule? So first, what is 3-to-1 backup rule? So it is actually the best practice methodology that will allow you to store your data in multiple locations and on different storage mediums. So why it is required? So this is majorly required for redundancy and for geographic diversity, and also for the resiliency. Okay, so which means you need to have 3 copies of your data on 2 different storage mediums. Like you have the first copy in this, store your second copy in another storage medium like tape drive or in cloud, and make sure you keep 1 copy of your data away from your production site. Okay, it may be your off-site disaster recovery site, which might be your own location, or you can have it on the cloud, which is actually away from your original location. Okay, so this makes sure. So these are actually the 5 questions that you need to ask, or you need to check before you implement or while you evaluate the backup solution. Okay, so I have not only shared what you need to look for, but also I have discussed some best practices in each question that we have discussed right now. Okay, so now let's see like how you can set up the Hyper-V best practices with Vembu BDR Suite. So previously I have already explained you what is our solution. That is, it's a comprehensive backup and disaster recovery solution. So now let's look at what's in store with Vembu for Hyper-V virtual machine backup. Okay, so we were previously discussing the questions, right, and also some best practices and also solutions included in it. Now let's look at Vembu. So see, these are the key features that I've actually listed here. Vembu actually allows you to select the best backup method, that is, you can perform the host level backup, you can perform the guest level backup, and also the cluster level backup. Along with that, you also have application consistent backup for your Microsoft applications. And most importantly, it provides you flexible scheduling policies. Okay, so Vembu offers a recovery time objective and recovery point objective of less than 15 minutes. Okay, so and then so you have like instant recovery options and flexible recovery options that you can choose based on the recovery scenario. And the most critical feature for a backup and recovery solution is automated backup verification. So that is also available with Vembu Hyper-V Backup. And also, to achieve the 3-to-1 backup rule, we offer you the offsite copy option, where you can have the data on a remote location or in your own cloud or Vembu cloud or in tape drives. So you can just achieve everything with Vembu BDRSuite. So far we were talking that these are the features that we have with Vembu BDRSuite. Now I'm going to show you a live demo of how you can set up the Vembu BDRSuite for backing up your Hyper-V virtual machines in your environment. Yeah. So all you have to do is just go to our website vembu.com, and there you will be having a separate tab called download, from which you can download the Vembu BDR backup server. Okay, so all you have to do is just install this software in a dedicated machine, which can either be a Windows machine or a Linux Ubuntu machine, or it can be a physical platform or a virtual platform. So you can either deploy in any of these. So this will be your dedicated backup server and a central server from where you can configure backups for your entire environment, not only for Hyper-V, but also in case you have other workloads like physical machines or cloud workloads, anything can be configured from this centralized place. So I have already installed this in one of my Windows machine. Okay. So this is like you can access the console just providing the IP address of the machine followed by the port number 6060. Okay. So the username and the password is admin. This you will be able to change at the time of installation. So once you sign in, you will be getting 30 days of free trial with all the features available. That is, you can check and you can evaluate and you can do whatever you want in this trial period. The first step is configuring the backup repository. That is where you would like to store your backup data. Okay. So this backup repository can either be your machine's local drive, or you can use any network drives like NAS or SAN, or even your cloud storage. You will be able to use that with Vembu. So just create a new backup repository. So in this, you have an option to group multiple storages and use their free spaces. Like if the first storage gets filled, it will automatically detect the second storage, and you need not worry about the storage filling and all. So you'll also get automatic notification about it. So once the storage is configured, you can directly move on to the backup configurations. Okay. So see this console, you have actually 3 different tabs. As I mentioned, it's for 3 different workloads. The first for the virtual and physical, and this is for the SaaS application Office 365, and the third tab is for the AWS EC2 instances. So now we are going to look into the Hyper-V backup. So I'm just choosing the first tab and click on the backup option. There you have the configure backups option. Just click on the Microsoft Hyper-V. So here you can see the options available. If it's a cluster, you have a separate tab to add your cluster node. And if it's a standalone server or it's an SMB server that's using the SMB share, you can just provide the details in the required console. So after adding your host, your Hyper-V host gets listed here. Okay. So I have added one of my Hyper-V cluster for this demo purpose. So you can now directly click on the configure backup, which will list all the virtual machines in this on that cluster. Okay, not only the node but also the virtual machines under that. under that node. You can either choose the entire node, which will select all the virtual machines, so that in case you're going to have the same policies, you can follow this. Else you're going to have different policies, backup policies, you can just configure that set of VMs alone. And then here you have the disk exclusion option. In case from a specific VM you do not want to backup a specific disk, you can just exclude that disk with this option. Else you can just skip this and move on to next. The next is guest processing settings. So as we have discussed, application aware mode is very critical for the Microsoft applications virtual machines. Okay, so in case your virtual machine is having Microsoft applications, we recommend you to enable this option. We will make sure that only when the writers are stable, your application writers are stable, the backup will be processed. And there is also log truncation. After every successful backup, if you would like to truncate logs for your Exchange or SQL server, you can, by default it is enabled. You can also change the settings. And most importantly, you have to provide the credentials of the VM where the application is running. So in case your virtual machine is not having any applications, just move on to the next step. So this is where the schedule comes into play, like how frequently you would like to perform backups for your virtual machines. Here we offer the minimum, that is the lowest RPO of 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes you will be able to backup. The first backup that runs will be a full backup, and after that it is followed by incrementals, which means only the changes that you make onto your virtual machine, this will be backed up. So we use the Microsoft's resilient change tracking technology as well as Vembu's own CBT method to perform this incremental backups. So you have the flexible setting here, like you can run backups every few hours or run on at only once in a day or weekly on specific days. And then here you can see additional full backups option. So after the initial full backup, everything is in forever incremental. Okay, so in case you require additional full backups every week or month or daily once, you can enable this optional settings. And we also have the limit, like how many full backups you want in your storage. As full backups consume your storage space, we have given the retention limit for that also. Okay. And the next option is retention. So this lets you to define your retention. So how long you would like to retain your data, for years or for several months or just for few weeks or few days. You have two types of retention here. With basic, you can set the number of days, like maximum you have 999 days. In case you want only last 10 days of data, just directly set the 10 restore points here. Okay. And there is an advanced retention with which you will be able to maintain data for several years, like for compliance requirement or for long-term retention, you will be able to do that. So this allows you to do different merge options. Let's see, here we have configured backups every 1 hour. Let's assume in a day a backup runs 24 times. Okay, so when I choose this daily merge, all the 24 recovery points will be merged and you will be having a single daily restore point. So if you want to, so every day you will be having this everyday restore point, and it keeps on increasing day by day. In case you want to consolidate that further, you can choose weekly merge. So on Sunday or on any day that you choose here, all the previous daily merge points will be merged and you will be having a single weekly restore point. So at the time of merge, we eliminate all the redundant data and we'll be storing only the unique blocks in order to use your storage efficiently and also for the long-term retention purpose. So there is also a monthly merge where all your weekly points can be merged into a single monthly restore point. So these checkboxes can be defined in any way, like you want all the hourly points in your storage and want only the weekly merge to be performed, you can just choose weekly merge. And then here you can see the storage repository. This is which you have configured initially. In case you think these set of VMs you would like to have it in a separate storage, you have the add backup repository option. Okay, so you can just instantly create a new backup repository and you can select that for this specific job. Then you have the encryption. As I mentioned, encryption is also really a critical feature. So your data needs to be protected, that is secured from unauthorized access when it gets transferred as well as when it is stored in your repository. So by default, Vembu uses AES 256-bit algorithm for encrypting your data. So in this, we offer backup level encryption. That is, you can provide a password and we will be using this password as the encryption key for encrypting your data when it gets transferred and when it gets restored from your storage. So the thing is, when you try to restore your data, only after you provide this password, you will be able to proceed further. And then the last is, just give your backup job a name and save your backup so you can review your configurations here. So this is like very simple, just 5 steps and you're just protecting your entire infrastructure so easily. And you can find your backup job under the list backup jobs. So this is one of my Hyper-V backup. In case you think you would like to edit any of your configurations that you have set earlier, here you have the edit option, so you can just edit it whenever you want. Okay. So the backup is completed. The next is like, is your backup data is recoverable? Yes, it's recoverable with Vembu. So we offer automatic backup verification. So there are actually 3 different tests performed on your data. The first is data integrity test, which is done at the time of backing up your data, and the second is mount test. You have multiple disks in your virtual machine, and we will be making sure that all your disks are mountable with the mount test. Okay. And the last we have is boot test, which is actually the test of your entire virtual machine. We make sure that your virtual machine is booted, and you will be sending this boot screen to your email. So all these tests are carried out once in a day. Okay. In case you would like to change the settings, like you would like to change the setting of your backup verification, you have the option data integrity check under backup. You can just edit the run every option, and you can change the frequency of performing the automatic backup verification. So after the data, you know that your data is recoverable. Let's assume that some outage has happened and now you would like to restore your data. So we'll now look at the recovery, how you can recover your Hyper-V virtual machines, your backed up Hyper-V virtual machines. So you'll be having multiple restore options to restore your data. So this is one of my Hyper-V backup. I'm just clicking on restore here. See, here you can find different options. Like you're doing an entire machine backup. So there may be chances where you want to restore the entire machine, or there may be chances where you would like to restore only specific disk from your virtual machine, or even more granularly, like a specific file or folder, or only the application items. So whatever might be your use case. So you have an option with Vembu to do that. To restore your entire machine, we have the first option, instant boot VM. So no matter how large the size of your VM is or your network speed is, you will be able to restore your virtual machine within a few seconds with this instant boot VM. Okay. So this is like, with this you will be able to achieve an RTO of 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes. Okay. So all you have to do is just choose a restore point on which you would like to restore and the VM that you would like to restore. The next you will be having is an option to choose on which hypervisor. Okay, so you can restore your hypervisor directly on your Hyper-V, which is your native hypervisor, or in case you have in VMware, you will also have an option to restore it on VMware. So this is like instantly you're doing in cross hypervisor restore. So this instant boot VM will directly mount the data from your backup storage to your target hypervisor. Okay, and it will bring back your machine within a few seconds, and you can start using it like your production VM. And then, okay, so all the changes that you make in this instant boot session will be stored in your backup repository. So there may be cases when you would like to permanently restore your virtual machine to your environment. There you have the full VM recovery. Okay, so you can restore your entire VM to the same Hyper-V host from where you have backed up, or to another Hyper-V host that you have in your environment. Okay, so this VM recovery will take some time, which depends on the size of your VM, your network speed, and also other bottlenecks that you have in your environment, but it will bring back your entire machine as it was backed up. And in this full VM recovery, if you would like to restore the changes that you made in the instantly booted VM, you can even do that. Okay. And then the next comes is the granular recovery, which is file level recovery. So this will list all the files and folders of your virtual machine in the UI itself. So you can just choose which specific file or folder you want, and you can just restore that alone in your storage. And then the next is like disk level recovery, which is the disk mount. So this is also another instant restore option that Vembu offers, where instead of recovering an entire machine, you will be restoring the disks alone quickly. Okay, so the disks of your virtual machine will be mounted onto your backup server. Okay, so this is my backup server machine. When I open the disk management of my backup server, you will be finding new volumes added there. So which is like a virtual attachment and will not occupy any space, but you can access all your data instantly and quickly and at more granular level. And then you have the download VMs. As I mentioned, along with backup and recovery, Vembu also supports cross-hypervisor migration. Like in case you have any ideas in future to migrate your Hyper-V virtual machines from one hypervisor to another, like let's assume to VMware, so you can easily do that with Vembu. So all you have to do is just download your entire Hyper-V virtual machine into the VMware's format. Okay, so VMware uses VHD, flat VMDK and VMDK. So you can just download your entire VM into that format and use this disk to perform the migration. So it's really simple. And the last recovery option that we have is like application item level recovery. In case you're backing up an Microsoft application server like Exchange Server, SQL, or SharePoint or Active Directory, so you'll be able to granularly restore the application items. Let's assume it's an Exchange server, okay, and you want to restore a specific mailbox or a single mail from your machine. So with this, you will be able to do a more granular recovery. You can even export the data into a different format, or you can restore the data into another Exchange server or another SQL server that you have in your environment. So those things are possible. So every time you may not have an option, you may not have a requirement to restore the entire machine. So in those cases, the file level recovery, the application level recovery, or the disk level recovery will help you in restoring your data very quickly. So we have now looked at the recovery options. The next is full visibility on your backup infrastructure. That is the reporting facility. So in the report section, you can find almost 5 different reports with Vembu. Okay, the first backup job level report is after every schedule completes, you will be getting the backup reports. Okay, so it will include when the backup was taken and how long it took to complete, and what is the size of your backup and what amount of compression took place. So you can see the compression ratio directly in the console itself. And then is like in case if it shows any error, it is more easy to access. Like it will show you an error and also an article to how you can resolve the error. So it's more user friendly. And to view a detailed reports, you have the historical report section. Like a complete detail of your entire backup job will be available in the historical report. Okay. And you might ask me a question like, should I log into the console every time to check what's happening with my backups and what's happening with my backup infrastructure? No, it's not actually required. We have the email notification options for you. Okay, so what you can do is you can just enable this and you can receive your email reports directly, that is your backup reports directly to your email. Okay, like you can either receive all the reports or you can just choose which specific report you want. Like you want only the backup reports and only like a failure alerts, just provide the details in the failure section so that you get an failure alert, so you will be notified with that. And also there is the push notifications available in the UI, so more easy to know what is happening. And you might ask like, a backup job with multiple VMs, how will you know a report about a specific VM, what's going on with that VM? So you have that, you can just check out that in the VM level report. So you will be getting report for each VM. So now we have discussed about the backup recovery and how you can get full visibility on your infrastructure, along with the important part, the backup verification. The next requirement is how you can set up the 3-to-1 backup rule with Vembu. Okay, so the first setting is like you have the offsite copy, which is the disaster recovery copy. In that you have 2 options. Okay, the first is Vembu Cloud DR. Vembu Cloud DR is hosted in Amazon Web Services. So all you have to do is just sign up for Vembu Cloud account and then you can choose this option. So as soon as the backup completes in your local server, a copy of your data will be replicated to your Vembu cloud account. So what you can do is you can just log in from anywhere at any time and you can restore your data. So it is more like one offsite copy away from your production. Else there may be cases that you have your own offsite location and you would like to post all your data over there. So for that case, we have this offsite DR server. Okay, so that offsite location can either be a local location, local remote location, or you might have some cloud instance. Okay, so it can be anything. You can just simply install the Vembu offsite DR server into that. So like this can be installed on a Windows or an Linux Ubuntu machine, like your local backup server, and just configure the IP address of that specific machine here. So similarly, as soon as the backup completes in your local server, a copy of your data will be replicated to that offsite server. Okay, so in this offsite replication, you will be able to set how much bandwidth you would like to utilize. Like you have the bandwidth throttling option, like might be the backup and the offsite run in your production environment. You can set what amount of bandwidth you need to allocate for the offsite replication. And also there is like when you do not want to run the offsite replication, you have the replication window to set that. So these are very useful features actually when it comes to offsite settings. And also we have the seed backup. Like you do not want to transfer a huge amount of data over WAN, you can just export it to an external device like USB or an external drive, and then you can directly manually import the data in your offsite server, which actually consumes your internet bandwidth. And the third option is having your data in a different media. So as I said before, Vembu supports different storage mediums, local drives, network volumes, NAS, SAN, or your cloud storage. And we also support tape backups. That is where you can archive your backups onto the tape drives. So this is like you can use it for long-term retention, or like in the 3-to-1 backup rule, to make it more redundancy, like on 2 different storage mediums, you can back up your Hyper-V backups onto the tape drives, and you can also restore from the tape drives. So these are the entire options, like entire comprehensive solution for your Hyper-V environment. And not only for Hyper-V, when you look at our console, and as I discussed before, any other environment you have like virtual, physical, or cloud or SaaS applications, you can protect them with Vembu BDRSuite. So it's so simple and easy to use interface. So as I mentioned before, you have the 30-day of free trial. You can download the product in your environment and you can give it a try. And yeah, so the next is like I would like to share the roadmap of our Vembu BDRSuite. So since this session is more focused on Hyper-V, so what's next in the Hyper-V backup with Vembu? Okay, so we are going to provide Hyper-V VM replication. Okay, so far we were talking about backing up your data and restoring your data. So there is something which is more important, like enterprise level feature, which is like more demanded in the market right now. Hyper-V VM replication. You can create an exact copy of your VM and have it in another network or in another site, so that when something happens to your production VM, you can just immediately turn on your replica VM and you can start working onto it. Okay, so that feature is going to be available with in our upcoming release, which is in this December. Okay, and there is also like options like where you can restore your Hyper-V virtual machines as an EC2 instances or as an Azure virtual machines. So those options are also available. So you can check out our website for more details on the other products and other features that are going to be available. Yes, fine. The Q&A session. Our panel is actually, we have got some number of questions and our panel members have been addressing those questions. And yes, so in case you would like to have a personalized demo for your environment, like specific best practices for your environment, you can just schedule a custom demo. That brings us to the end of the webinar today. As I mentioned before, download the 30-day free trial and try it in your environment so that you will know how easy and how you can just set up all the best practices that is required for your environment with Vembu BDRSuite. Um, so in case you have any queries, you can just reach out to these numbers that are displayed on the screen. And also you can contact our sales or support that is available 24/7 for you. Okay. Thank you all once again for joining this webinar today with us. Uh, Take care and stay safe. There is also another webinar which is upcoming in 2 weeks, which is more focused on Windows image backup. So if you have an Windows environment, so that is physical Windows machines or virtual Windows machines that you would like to backup, you can just join this webinar with us, which is in next 2 weeks. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye.